Why do entire economies collapse even when people are working hard? Why does unemployment spike during downturns, and why doesn't the market always fix itself? John Maynard Keynes believed the answer lay not in individual effort, but in the collective demand driving the economy. John Maynard Keynes was a British economist born in 1883. He studied mathematics at Cambridge, later becoming a civil servant and advisor to the British Treasury. His career spanned wars, depressions, and the birth of modern economic theory. Keynes challenged classical economics, which assumed that markets naturally self-correct. He argued that during recessions, private spending often falls too low, leaving businesses unable to sell goods, resulting in unemployment. Governments, he said, must step in to boost demand. In 1936, Keynes published The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. The book argued that recessions were caused by insufficient aggregate demand, and that governments could prevent prolonged unemployment through fiscal and monetary intervention. Keynes lived through the Great Depression and saw the human cost of economic collapse. Factories closed, millions were unemployed, and hunger and poverty spread. His theories offered practical tools to prevent such suffering, blending mathematics with social concern. Keynesian policies focus on increasing aggregate demand during downturns. Governments can spend on public works, infrastructure, and social programs, creating jobs and circulating money through the economy. This approach contrasts with classical ideas that markets self-correct without intervention. Historically, Keynes' ideas became influential during crises. Policymakers observed that economies often remained stagnant without government stimulus. His theories provided a framework for understanding why recessions could be deep and prolonged without active intervention. One of the first historical examples is the Great Depression in the 1930s. The US and UK faced massive unemployment, bank failures, and widespread poverty. Classical economic policies failed to address the collapse, creating an opening for Keynesian approaches. In response, governments introduced public works programs, housing projects, and relief payments. In the US, Roosevelt's New Deal focused on infrastructure, job creation, and social safety nets. These policies injected money into the economy and helped restore consumer confidence. The impact was significant. Roads, dams, and schools were built while millions of Americans found employment. Though not ending the Depression entirely, these programs demonstrated how government spending could raise demand and mitigate unemployment effectively. Europe's post-World War II reconstruction provides another example. Cities and industries lay in ruins, leaving millions jobless. Keynesian principles guided governments to invest heavily in rebuilding infrastructure, housing, and industry to stimulate economic recovery. The Marshall Plan supported European recovery by providing billions in aid. Countries like France and Germany invested in roads, factories, and electricity grids. These efforts created employment and revived economic activity, illustrating the multiplier effect in practice. Governments also coordinated fiscal policies to maintain demand while managing inflation. Public sector jobs and private sector incentives worked together to rebuild economies. By the 1960s, Western Europe experienced rapid growth, high employment, and rising living standards. Sweden offers a long-term example of Keynesian influence. From the 1930s to the 1970s, the Swedish government used public investment and welfare policies to maintain full employment and social stability. Economic downturns were cushioned through proactive fiscal management. Investments included housing, healthcare, and education programs. Public works created jobs during recessions, ensuring that citizens had income to spend on goods and services. The approach kept demand stable and avoided severe economic contractions. This system produced stable growth and low unemployment for decades. Sweden's model also demonstrated that government intervention could coexist with a competitive market economy. Social welfare and fiscal stimulus became tools for long-term economic stability. Japan's post-war recovery in the 1950s and 1960s shows another application of Keynesian-style policies. After total economic destruction, the government directed investments into infrastructure and industrial development. Cities, factories, and transport systems needed urgent rebuilding. Policy focused on stimulating demand through public investment while encouraging private sector growth. The government supported technology adoption and industrial modernization, creating jobs and raising productivity simultaneously. This deliberate strategy guided Japan's economic miracle. Employment surged as new industries expanded. Consumer demand gradually recovered as wages increased, while infrastructure projects enabled trade and mobility. Keynesian principles of demand management and investment underpinned this rapid transformation. West Germany provides another post-war case. Following World War II, the economy faced hyperinflation, unemployment, and physical destruction. Policymakers combined currency reform with public investment to stimulate demand and restore confidence in the economy. Investment focused on housing, industry, and infrastructure, generating jobs and increasing purchasing power. The government maintained policies to encourage spending and production while monitoring inflation carefully. Confidence returned as citizens saw tangible economic improvements. By the 1960s, West Germany experienced the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle. Industrial output soared, unemployment dropped dramatically, and citizens' living standards rose sharply. The deliberate application of Keynesian-style fiscal stimulus was central to this transformation. These historical examples show how governments can stabilize economies when private demand collapses. From the Great Depression to post-war reconstruction, Keynesian policies prevented mass unemployment and provided tangible improvements in infrastructure and welfare. Critics argue Keynesian policies can create high national debt. Large-scale government spending sometimes exceeds revenue, raising concerns about long-term financial stability. Some economists also warn that repeated stimulus may lead to inflationary pressure. To avoid these risks, governments can adopt countercyclical policies, spending more during recessions, but saving or reducing debt during periods of growth. This balanced approach helps maintain fiscal health while still using stimulus to cushion downturns. Another criticism is that intervention can distort market signals. Governments deciding where to spend may favor certain industries over others, potentially leading to inefficiencies, misallocation of resources, or reduced incentives for private investment and innovation. This risk can be reduced by designing spending programs that are broad-based and temporary, such as infrastructure, education, or technology investment. These areas benefit the entire economy, encourage private sector participation, and minimize favoritism or distortion. Despite criticisms, Keynesian policies highlight the value of proactive economic management. Strategic government action can prevent social and economic collapse, reduce unemployment, stabilize markets during crises, and build the foundations for faster recovery once private demand returns. The key lesson is that economies are not purely self-correcting. When private demand fails, government intervention can restore activity, jobs, and confidence. Well-designed fiscal stimulus acts as a stabilizer, preventing prolonged downturns and safeguarding social stability. Historical examples are vivid reminders: roads built, factories reopened, and people employed. Keynesian tools transformed nations recovering from depression, war, and destruction, creating wealth and opportunity where markets alone could not. These policies also show that economics is not abstract numbers alone. It is about human lives, social stability, and the ability to recover from shocks. Keynes combined mathematical insight with practical solutions to address real-world suffering. Even today, the principles remain influential. While debates continue, the historical record shows that when governments apply Keynesian ideas wisely, economies recover faster, unemployment falls, and citizens' well-being improves, leaving a lasting legacy for modern policy. If you found this journey through Keynes' ideas and historical examples insightful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more videos exploring how big ideas shape our world. Turn on notifications so you never miss an eye-opening lesson in history and economics.